To talk more about the President's trip, we're now joined by a senior researcher and director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, Thembisa Fakude. Thembisa, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. This conference is pitched at the level of a summit, typically the type of event you would expect the President to send the Minister of Environmental Affairs, the Minister of Energy, or a combination thereof. But he saw fit to visit himself. It must mean that there's something important happening in Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates that warrants a visit by the President. What could it possibly be? Could the President possibly be trying to get onto the balance sheet of Mohammed bin Salman?
Mohammed bin Zayed. Yeah, well...
no, Salman, the Crown Prince, very specifically. And I'll mention why he's of interest here.
Yeah, well, the UAE is one of the wealthiest nations on earth. It's got a huge wealth fund, which is looking for opportunities, particularly in Africa. South Africa is very strategic. We sit in one of the most important geographical positions on earth, where the two oceans meet, Atlantic and Indian Ocean. We have the largest deposits of platinum, which are going to be key in the next business of electric vehicles and AI. So we are very strategic. And I think the President understands the significance of the UAE. And that's why he went economically. Of course, politically is another story. Many would have argued that this is the country that's complicit in all conflicts in the Middle East and has not been very constructive in terms of stabilizing the region. We've seen what it's been doing in Yemen. We know what's been doing in Sudan. We know what they've been doing in Palestine. They also went on against the regional public opinion and decided to normalize relations with Israel, notwithstanding what Israel has done. Is one of the first countries that had an embassy of Israel. Mohammed bin Zayed is not the most loved human being in the Middle East at the moment, but again, South Africa decided to engage with him on an economic basis, and hopefully that will lead to results.
Importantly here is that, as you mentioned, there are vast ideological differences between South Africa and the UAE. Of course, the UAE being, in addition to the BRICS bloc of countries, is an important part of establishing bilateral relations there. And of course, leveraging its strong ties with the US. But of course, it also now holds strong ties with Israel. And of course, South Africa is trying to negotiate some level of peace deal in Sudan. Meanwhile, the UAE is quite literally responsible for a great part of the destabilization of what's taking place in Sudan. Tight ropes to manage here. What does a successful bilateral engagement look like?
Well, I think they are going to be productive, but one would have expected to have Ronald Ramaphosa giving us that long interview, notwithstanding that they are very serious differences in terms of foreign affairs policy and international relations between South Africa and the UAE. They embrace total opposite and different foreign policies. Ours is morally based foreign relations, and one would have expected that at least someone like Pakistan would have commented in this regard, just to shield and protect our foreign policy. But we have the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation speaking so proudly about the UAE, the country that is supporting Israel towards genocide in Gaza, is problematic. But again, this is a twisted tongue sometimes from the South African foreign policy. President Ramaphosa, understandably so, he attended the summit, which he used to further strengthen the economic ties and relationship with the UAE.
Yeah.
Correct thing to do because they use a big and important country. But in terms of foreign policy, I would have preferred to have Ronald Ramaphosa taking a back seat instead of him supporting and speaking and giving that interview that he gave.
Yeah, the UAE is also kind of an annoyance to South Africa in a sense. What we learned from the literature is that it's a very strong conduit for illicit capital flows affecting South Africa. And what we learned from the FATF grey listing and, of course, the undoing thereof is that Wahala payments make its way through the UAE from South Africa and from the UAE into South Africa quite a bit. Of course, which left us in a precarious position as far as our financial intelligence and security is concerned. Do you at all anticipate that the President would have addressed that annoyance?
No, I don't think so. UAE's economic position and policy is very clear. It's see no evil, hear no evil. They take whoever's money come into the country, and they don't ask questions. They've got their own laws and regulations, and they've got bilaterals with various countries, including South Africa. And as long as that money or whoever it is that deals with the UAE companies does not violate the rules, they will continue with see no evil, hear no evil economic policy. And many people around the world are using the UAE for their money for whatever reasons. And it's a market that is an open country that has thrived because of that policy. And it's not doing it in secret. It's open about how it deals with foreign direct investments. And I don't think President Ramaphosa will in any way or form convince the UAE to change its economic trajectory. He might strengthen bilaterals between the UAE and South Africa, which could prevent future mismanagement and illicit fund transfers from and to both South Africa and UAE, but I don't think it's going to change their course.
Yeah. And just lastly, and very importantly, President Ramaphosa and the trio of himself, Minister Ronald Lamula, as well as Minister Parkstow, have been on a global crusade since the start of the Trump administration and the imposition of those tariffs by Donald Trump to attempt to open different markets across the world to divert a great deal of our exports that are affected by the U.S. tariffs on South Africa. Is the UAE a sustainable, a viable and a reliable market for South Africa?
No, it's not. It's not sustainable at all. We've had problems with them. If you know that the Gupta money, we're told, is still there. There are many other accusations of the UAE being a safe haven of stolen funds from South Africa. But besides, it's a country that is increasingly hated by its neighbors. And that, for me, creates a serious problem in terms of investment security and the long-term relationship between ourselves and the UAE. And I think there will come a time when our at least political positions on various issues that impact the globe are going to come head-on in conflict. So I wouldn't say that it's a country that we should see as a long-term or a country to have a long-term friendship with, because it is certainly not stable. And by the way, it's a very, very young country. And the aggression through which its foreign policy has been exercised by the likes of Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and others in the UAE makes one wonder whether this country is really going to be able to swim the strong tide that's coming its way, particularly in the region.
Yeah. We're going to have to leave it there. Thembisa, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Thembisa Fakude is with the Africa-Asia Dialogues.